joy! Another one of these creatures!
Beware the stones!
If I read the signs right, the one in Kalaran fought a battle here as well. And look here, the broken shards of a ranger's sword. I know this blade. It belonged to Kalaran.
This is proof your comrades were here. But where are they now?
The tracks show where two bodies were dragged to the entrance of that large pen.
Were they living or dead?
That I cannot say.
The only way to discover their fate is by following them into the vault.
This tomb makes my blood run chill.
This is no place for living men. Let's find my friends.
Let's hope we're not too late. think he's alive. Come on then, Lewin. Time to awaken. Wake up!
No strength can prevail against this sickness. What good are swords in the face of this plague? What in the name of... Eridan?
Yes, it's me, my friend.
I have been dreaming.
What was all that about a plague?
I don't know. It was as if I was someone else. I remember a plague and despair.
The Great Plague. Nearly 300 years ago, it devastated the Dunedain of this region. You were sharing the dreams of those for whom this tomb was made.
Well, let those dreams remain with the dead. I want no more of them.
You've had a hard time of it. Do you think you can walk?
But if I was brought living into this tomb, then the same would be true for Kalaran. We need to find him.
That's what we intend to do. Are you strong enough to join us?
Yes, I think I can keep up with you.
This is no place for talk. Let's move.
It's Kalaran!
What's happened to him?
Rangers, hear me! The Borough White controls him! Defend yourself! We must strike him down!
He's a friend! I cannot!
The man you knew is dead! This is but a cruel trick! Defend yourselves!
sorry about what happened to your comrade, Lewin. Are you going to be all right?
First Black Riders, now Barrow Whites. This is more than men should have to contend with. But where there is life, there is hope. Thanks for your concern, but I will be all right. I owe it to those who have fallen to go on as best I may.
We've gathered some rich treasures from this tomb. You certainly deserve a share.
Thanks, but it would only serve to remind me of all of this. You keep what you have won.
The Barrow Whites have been driven out, and the way back to the surface is clear. You should be able to make it on your own now. Good luck and goodbye, Lewin.
Master Elrond, allow me to present to you Farron of Erebor, a very valiant dwarf.
Indeed. It is an honor to welcome one so brave to my home, and your companions as well.
I am grateful for what you did at Fornost. If Agandaur's forces had joined in the hunt, there is little chance that I and my charges would have made it here to safety.
I'll admit I'm surprised a dwarf can find so warm a welcome in the hall of an elf lord.
Conflicts there have been between our folk in the past, but you are one of the trusty folk of Durin's line. More often than not, your people and mine have been allies and friends.
I'm glad to see you made it here in one piece, Aragorn. But I still have no idea why your mission was so urgent.
I think it is time we told our newfound friends what they have gotten themselves into.
Gandalf! I should have known you would be involved with this somehow.
Indeed. Wherever there is trouble and strife, and the enemy is stirring, there you will find Gandalf the Grey.
Are you going to explain all that has happened, Gandalf? I'm eager to learn why the enemy sent the Nazgul into the Shire.
You have more than earned such an explanation. Tell me, what do you know of Isildur's Bane?
Isildur's Bane? Isn't that another name for the Ring of Power?
Quite right. The Ring of Power. The One Ring. The ruling ring. After lying lost and nearly forgotten for centuries, Sauron's ring has once again been found.
Do you mean to say the halfling Aragorn rescued has come into possession of the Dark Lord's ring?
Aye, that would explain those accursed Black Riders. But what is to become of the ring now?
There is no safe resting place for the ring, not even here in Imladris. It is a danger to all who come near to it. There is only one course left to us. The ring must be destroyed.
To do so, the ring will need to be cast into the same fires from which it was forged. Those of Mount Doom, in the land of Mordor. The hobbit, Frodo Baggins, has agreed to take it there.
Surely you don't intend to send him there alone?
No, certainly not. A fellowship will be formed. A fellowship of 9. 9 walkers set against Sauron's 9 Black Riders. Among this fellowship will be representatives of all the free peoples of the world. Elves, dwarves, and men. Aragorn and I will both be going.
What about us? Is there nothing we can do to help?
The Nazgul and Agandaur are dire threats. We must learn all we can of their movements before the Fellowship is to depart. Scouts will be sent out in every direction to scour the lands around Rivendell. Your aid in this would be of great service to our cause.
Very well. Where should we start?
Agandaur is our chief concern. Although the Nazgul are powerful foes, Their mission here in the north is abundantly clear. We can only guess what Agendaur may be planning, or where he went after he escaped from you.
I suspect he may be planning to move against us here. Sauron's hatred of the elves is very great, and he does not forget the hand we played in his defeat during the War of the Last Alliance.
If it is strength he wants, he may well find it among the Ettenmoors.
You know that region better than I. What can you tell me of the Ettenmoors?
The Ettenmoors are a spur of the Misty Mountains, lying almost directly north of Rivendell. It is a wild region of very rugged terrain, home to many trolls and giants.
I myself was in the Ettenmoors but days ago. I saw no sign of Agendaur's presence, but neither did I encounter trolls. That fact alone is troubling. It could be that they are gathering in force, somewhere among the moors.
If that's so, we don't want them taking us by surprise. We'll make our way to the Ettenmoors and see what we can find out.
From what I have heard of you, from Aragorn and Elrond's sons, I expected no less. Still, you have had a long road and hard fighting to get this far. Take what time you need to rest and recover before you set out. The Ettenmoors are a dangerous place for the unprepared.
The hospitality of my house is yours, for as long as you wish. Greetings to you, Farin. Many times in the past have I welcomed your kin to my home. The bond between our kindred has at times been shaken, yet it has never been broken. Always before, I have placed my trust in Durin's folk, and never have they betrayed it. You will always be welcome here in Imladris, my friend. Yet I am certain you did not come here merely to exchange pleasantries. That is not the Dwarven way. Do you have questions for me?
I found this scroll at Fornost. I think maybe you should take a look at it.
A wise decision. This is writ in the black speech of Mordor, a language I will not utter here. It is intended to instruct the reader in the use of dark sorceries.
What is the Black Speech?
A language devised by Sauron when he desired a single tongue to be spoken by all who serve him. He had small luck introducing it to the scattered tribes of orcs and trolls, but it is still used by his highest-ranking servants.
We faced orcs at Fornost who used spells against us.
Then it seems this has already been put to use. That is grim news. The Dark Lord is a master of necromancy and other foul sorceries. He has taught these abominations to men in the past, but never, to my knowledge, to orcs.
I don't like the sound of that word, necromancy. What is it?
Necromancy is the darkest form of sorcery. It deals with raising the dead.
The Dark Lord has this power?
He does indeed. It was for this reason he was known as the Necromancer when he still dwelt in the fortress of Dol Guldur in Mirkwood. At that time we did not know this was Sauron returned, but we knew there was a great evil there. Have you not experienced this power firsthand in your journey through the Barrow Downs? It was Sauron's chief servant, the Witch King, who summoned the Barrow Wights to infest those tombs.
I was told that many of the men buried in those tombs were the Dunedain. How is it that Sauron can make them forget their past loyalties?
These shades are not truly the dead returned to life. Not even Sauron has that power. It is accomplished through the summoning of malignant spirits to inhabit the remains of the dead. It is a mockery of life, and the foulest form of desecration.
Good thing we captured this, then. What will you do with it?
I will destroy this scroll, at the very least. But wait, here I discover more. Listen to what is written herein. Scribed by the hand of Agendaur, disciple of the great Lord Sauron. for the empowerment of his servant Wulfran and those others of his faithful who prove worthy. I will speak no more of these blasphemies, but it does say that this scroll is one of 7 such works.
Why do you use the word blasphemy for this?
Sauron proclaims himself a god and will not rest until all who live upon Middle-earth acknowledge him as such. He teaches these sorceries to his minions, intending that they will serve as priests in his cult, cowing others with their power.
Well, maybe we should turn the tables on the enemy by making use of this scroll ourselves.
Have a care, warrior of Erebor. You tread on dangerous ground when you harbor such thoughts. This, like all works of the enemy, is altogether evil. Any who make use of this, even from a desire to do good, will only be corrupted by it. Surely the ring has taught us that much.
You're right. I'd rather trust in a good strong axe than black magic anyway. So what should we do with this?
I will destroy this scroll at the very least. But wait, here I discover more. Listen to what is written herein. Scribed by the hand of Agandaur, disciple of the great Lord Sauron, for the empowerment of his servant Wulfran and those others of his faithful who prove worthy. I will speak no more of these blasphemies, but it does say that this scroll is one of 7 such works.
Who is this Wulfran the scroll speaks of?
I know not, but whoever he may be, he is certain to be deep in the sway of the Dark Lord, and very likely a powerful sorcerer in his own right. We must be watchful for any sign of his presence in the days ahead.
So there are 6 more of these accursed things. Maybe we can find them all.
That would be a great service to our cause. Should you recover them all, bring them to me, and I will ensure they are destroyed.
You can count on that.
In the meantime, please accept this in appreciation for bringing this matter to my attention. Perhaps it will be of service to you in your travels.
One more thing. I found this book hidden away in the ruins of Fornost. It looks to be quite old.
Ah, now this is writing of an altogether more wholesome sort. This was not made by any minion of Sauron, but rather by the men of Arthedain, likely before the fall of Fornost.
Tell me about this realm of Arthedain.
Arthedain was the last fragment of the great northern kingdom of Arnor. The heirs of Isildur ruled as kings of Arthedain until it too was destroyed by the enemy.
But according to the rangers at the Sarn Ford, the line of their kings did not end.
It is true Isildur's line has remained unbroken. But without a kingdom to rule, they have not claimed the title of king and have been known simply as chieftains of the Dunedain. It is our friend Aragorn who currently bears that title, although he will be the last to do so. Either he will become a king, or Isildur's line will come to an end with him.
So you think this book is a record from those days? You could be right, for we found it in a chamber that had been long sealed. Can you make out any of the writing?
Indeed. It seems to be a personal journal. And here is a name inscribed. M-A-L. Why, this appears to be a work of Malbeth, the seer of Arthedain.
Malbeth? Never heard of him.
Many of the Dunedain race are gifted with foresight, but none more than Malbeth. He predicted the final destruction of the kingdom of Arthedain, which befell exactly as he had foretold. I will examine this work carefully. Who knows what other visions are here recorded? It may be that we will find something of value to us in this time of trouble. You did well in bringing this to me. Take this in way of thanks.
Happy to have been of service. Thanks and goodbye.
Ah, Farin. I am glad you are here. I feel I must apologize to you. When I was told a dwarf had appeared on the borders of the Shire asking to join the Dunedain in their watch, I was suspicious. I instructed Halbarad to keep a careful eye upon you, fearing you were a spy. Clearly he grew to trust you, and after all you have done, I have as well. I am sorry to have doubted you, my friend.
Oh, there's no need to apologize. After seeing firsthand what you Rangers have to contend with, I think you're right to be suspicious.
Perhaps, but we should also remember there are others in the world who are willing to serve. I am glad you chose to do so.
I take it you'd never heard of Agendaur before we spoke of him.
I had never heard nor dealt with Agendaur specifically, but I know his kind. Years ago I served in disguise in the armies of Gondor, where I contended with the Corsairs of Umbar, who were often led by those akin to Agendaur. These black Númenóreans are a corrupt and wicked race. They worship Sauron as a god and seek the utter destruction of all who oppose him.
I'd like to know more about those chosen to be part of your fellowship.
Who is it that interests you?
Tell me about the Wood Elf, Legolas.
It is fitting that we have a representative of the Eldar, the Elves, along with us on this venture. They have been foes of Sauron since before the ancestors of the Dunedain first returned to the shores of Middle-earth. Legolas is keen of eye and ear, and he is unmatched as a bowman. His arrows seldom miss their mark.
What about Gandalf? What can you tell me of him?
To know all there is to know of Gandalf would require a lifetime study. There is much about him that remains a mystery, even to me. Yet he is a relentless foe of Sauron, and without his vigilance, the ring would already be in the hands of the enemy. His wisdom and leadership will be of great value to the Fellowship.
What about these other hobbits? Is it wise to send so many of the little folk on this quest?
We are asking much of Frodo. Until recently, he had never set foot outside the confines of the Shire. It will be a comfort for him to have the familiar companionship of his friends and kin, in the face of so much that will be new and frightening. I have traveled with these hobbits, and they proved far more courageous and hardy than many would suspect.
What about this man of Gondor, this Boromir?
Boromir is the son of Denethor, the steward of Gondor. I had never met him before Elrond's council, but long years ago, under another name, I served his grandfather Ecthelion. The men of Gondor are valiant and strong, and by all accounts Boromir is foremost among them in courage and skill at arms. I suspect we will have need of his sword before our quest is through.
At least you will have a dwarf along with you, and one of the best too. You won't find a better companion than Gimli, son of Glóin.
I have only just met Gimli, but I hope he will prove to be much like you, stout-hearted and reliable, and a terror to his enemies in battle.
So, you go now to claim the throne of Gondor.
Above all, I go to help Frodo fulfill his quest. For unless the ring is destroyed, Gondor will soon fall, king or no king.
Good luck to you.
Ah, Farin. It is good of you to seek me out. You are a stout dwarf, like all of Durin's folk, and your courageous deeds have shown your worth.
This orc lover, Agendaur. Do you know anything about him?
Well, I know nothing of Agendaur himself. I have seen his kind at other times in distant lands. He is likely a black Númenórean, and a master of dark sorceries.
Well, that doesn't sound good. Just what we need, a sorcerer with a 5,000-year-old grudge against all free folk.
Who can say what promises Sauron has made to him? Perhaps even a ring of his own. At the very least, Agendaur expects to rule all of the North. He would be a cruel tyrant. The elves he will seek to utterly destroy. Hobbits, men, dwarves, any that survive, will be enslaved. And he will raise an Iron Kingdom in the north, in mockery of the ancient glory of Arnor. This is his dark dream. It must never come to pass.
What's Agendaur after? There are no mighty kingdoms to be found on this side of the Misty Mountains. What's Sauron afraid of here?
Sauron seeks dominion over all of Middle-earth. His desire is to order all things as he sees fit. Even were these lands empty from here to the sea, still he would seek to control them. There is power in Rivendell that could stand against him when all others fall. For a time. And this is something Sauron cannot allow.
I came all the way from a lonely mountain to help guard the Shire. Should I abandon what I set out to do?
You fulfilled your oath and protected the Shire when you were needed there, my good dwarf. Now you're needed more urgently elsewhere. With the flight of the ring in this direction, the enemy is looking this way and has forgotten the Shire for now. For now. But eventually his eye will turn once again toward the Shire, as humble as it is. Hobbits as miserable slaves would please him far more than hobbits happy and free. And there is such a thing as malice and revenge. Sauron will leave the final devastation of the Shire to his servant Agendaur. And that is yet another reason why you must find him and put an end to his designs. In opposing Agendaur, you are defending the Shire.
We had one of the great eagles lend us a hand, Claw, at Fornost. Right handy he was too. I was thinking he might help us get rid of the ring.
I don't fault you for thinking along those lines. Why not beg a ride from an eagle, fly far out to the west, and drop the ring into the deepest part of the sea? Such ideas were debated at Elrond's council. But there are many things in the deep waters, and seas and lands may change. We cannot think of our time alone. We must destroy this thing forever.
When we first spoke, you said you recently passed through the Ettenmoors. Can you tell me anything more of them?
It is a rough and empty land, home to many trolls. I passed through with great haste, for I needed to reach Rivendell as quickly as I could.
You said there was no sign of trolls.
I saw neither trolls nor fresh signs of them, and that disturbs me more than encountering one. I doubt they've all packed up and left. Mindless brute creatures they may be, yet they can be used and driven to even greater wickedness by a strong enough hand. Agendaur could well be forming them into an army.
Do you think he's mustering the trolls for an attack?
That is my fear. I would gladly be proven wrong, but my heart misgives me that somewhere in the Ettenmoors, you will find them gathering and being prepared for war. We must know. Such a force could be sent against Rivendell, perhaps in hopes of capturing the ring.
I'll get my friends and we'll head for the moors. If there's something to find, we'll find it.
The sun shines and all is fair and peaceful here in Imladris. A far cry from the blood and dust of Fornost, is it not? You and your companions did very well there. Indeed, things might have gone badly for us had you not been there. You have earned some time to recover from the toils of battle and hard travel. And I believe you will find no place better for the restoration of body and spirit than this, our home.
What was it that brought you to Fornost?
We often ride far afield hunting the orcs, wherever we may find them. We came upon signs of a large band of goblins making their way from the orc hold of Mount Gram and followed their trail to Fornost, where we lost no time in attacking them.
I take it you often join forces with Aragorn.
Yes, we often venture forth in company with the Dunedain, and none more frequently than Aragorn. He was raised here in our household, after all.
How is it that a man was raised here among elves?
It is a tradition for the heirs of Isildur to be fostered in the House of Elrond. We have sheltered all the chieftains of the Dunedain from the time the Northern Kingdom ceased to be down to this present day. Aragorn is the 16th in line from father to son to spend his early years in Imladris. This is one reason why the bond between the elves and the Dunedain is so strong.
Will you tell me more about your family? I know Elrond is your father.
Yes, it was he who established the refuge of Imladris. My brother and I have dwelt here all our lives. Our sister Arwen dwells here as well, although she has spent many years in the company of our grandmother.
And your mother, does she dwell here also?
Our mother has crossed the sea and left Middle-earth. It is a bitter tale to tell. Many years passed, on a journey across the misty mountains, our mother was captured by orcs. We searched the mountains without rest until we found her at last. Our father was able to heal her injuries. The memory of her torment was too terrible for her to bear. At last she chose to depart for the Undying Lands. Perhaps now you understand why our hatred for the orcs is so great.
That's an awful tale to hear. I shouldn't have brought it up.
No, my friend. We have drawn swords together in the same cause. You have earned our trust. We do not wish to keep anything hidden from you. This is the evil that we have pledged our lives to destroy, just as you have.
I may need a few things before I'm ready to set out. Can anyone here help me with that?
If it is provisions or other supplies you need, you should speak with Alari. And if your arms and armor need tending, seek out Angmir. Both of them may be found nearby.
Farewell, and luck be with you.
Even in strange surroundings, you can trust a dwarf to find his way to a forge. You are welcome in my smithy, Farin of Erebor.
How is it that an elf of Rivendell knows my name?
News travels swiftly in this household. I suspect everyone in Imladris has heard of your exploits by now. But such adventures are often hard on one's weapons and armor. Perhaps you have need of my services?
Seems like you're preparing for something. Can you tell me what you have planned?
My fellow smiths and I are preparing for a great work. Soon we will be called upon to reforge the legendary sword Narsil. In the meantime, I've been sharpening my skills by practicing the art of imbuing gemstones.
What can you tell me of this sword, Narsil?
Narsil was the sword of Elendil, a mighty lord of the Dunedain who defied the Dark Lord in the War of the Lost Alliance. He bore the sword in battle against Sauron, but he was slain and the sword was broken. Since that time, the shards of the sword have been an heirloom of the House of Elendil. It was to remain broken until the day when an heir of Elendil would go to war to reclaim the crown and title of king. That day will come soon, and the sword must be made whole once again.
What do you mean by imbuing?
Simply that certain objects have inherent virtues, and a skilled artisan can, through his craft, increase those virtues and bind them to an object for advantage. Gemstones are very strong vessels for this process. Sadly, appropriate gemstones have become difficult to find. The growing trouble throughout the land keeps travelers away, and our own people are staying closer to home.
Maybe I can lend a hand with that. I'll be traveling soon.
I would be pleased to have your help. I will provide you with a list of the types of gemstones that are of the greatest value to me. If you collect the stones, I am certain I could create something that you would find useful. But to be of use, the gemstones must be of the highest quality. Fortunately, we have as a guest a dwarf of the Lonely Mountain. Glowin is his name, and he is skilled in the appraisal of gems of all sorts. Once you have gathered the stones, allow him to examine them. He'll know if they are suitable.
I've found a few things on my travels that you might be interested in. Take a look.
Ah, these are work of Westernese, the lost land of Numenor. The men who forged these items were skilled indeed. You have the makings of a unique weapon here. Although these components were never part of a single work, I believe you have assembled everything I would need to make it so. The finished weapon would undoubtedly carry some elven qualities.
What do you mean by that?
Only that with a work such as this, the finished product is liable to reflect the nature of the smith who assembles it. If, for example, a dwarven smith were to complete this weapon, it might possess quite different qualities from the weapon I would create.
It seems fitting that a dwarven smith should do this work for me.
As you wish. I will help you should you change your mind.
You don't look like any elf of Rivendell. I'd wager you are one of the wood elves of Mirkwood.
You are correct. I am Legolas, son of Thranduil, king of the Woodland Realm. And I believe you are a dwarf of the Lonely Mountain.
That's right. I'm Farin of Erebor. Strange meeting a wood elf here, when I so seldom see them at home.
It is true. The distance between our two realms is not great. Yet it seems we seldom have dealings with your folk.
More's the pity. I would be glad if our two kingdoms would forge stronger bonds of friendship.
You are unusual in that, Farin. But I agree. In these troubled times, that would seem to be the wisest course.
I've been through Mirkwood. It baffles me that you wood elves chose to live in such a place.
Mirkwood is the greatest woodland in all of Middle-earth. It was called Greenwood the Great, before the shadow of Sauron fell over it. In ages past, it was a place of great beauty. But now, it is filled with darkness and dread, save only in the north where my father's realm is maintained.
What brought you on such a long and perilous journey?
Unpleasant business. My father sent me to report the escape of Gollum, a creature Aragorn had entrusted to our care.
What can you tell me about this Gollum?
A pathetic creature who long held the Ring of Power. The evil of the ring has left him twisted and tormented. His only thought is to recover what was taken from him.
How did Gollum manage to escape? I understood you wood elves were pretty good at holding prisoners. But this one got away?
Not from a lack of watchfulness, but perhaps from too much kindness. We occasionally allowed Gollum to go about the wood under close guard. But on one of these ventures, the guards were attacked by orcs from Dol Guldur. In the confusion, Gollum escaped. We followed his tracks southward for many leagues, until it drew near to Dol Guldur. There, it became too dangerous to pursue him any further.
Dol Guldur. A name of dread to my folk. What do you know of it?
A stronghold of the enemy in the south of Mirkwood. It was once the dwelling of the Dark Lord, until he was driven out in the year of the Dragon's Fall. But it has once again become a place of great evil. All the darkness that besets Mirkwood has its source in Dol Guldur.
So, will you be on your way back to Mirkwood soon?
No. I have been chosen to represent elven kind among the Company of the Ring. I will be accompanying the halfling, Frodo Baggins, on his journey south.
It seems a little strange that, with a house full of his own people to consider, Elrond chose you, a wood elf, to represent the elven folk in the Fellowship.
I asked for the privilege, and Elrond did not refuse me. I feel he may have been relieved not to lose any of his household to this quest. He will have need of all his strength, should the enemy move against Imladris.
Why'd you volunteer?
Partially to make amends for the loss of Gollum, but more so because this will be the final chapter in our long struggle against the darkness. And I wish to have a hand in our final victory. Or at least, to stand in the forefront of our last act of defiance.
Good luck to you, Legolas.
Hello! Always happy to meet a dwarf. And one from the Lonely Mountain, if I'm not mistaken.
Aye, I am Faran of Erebor, and we've met before, Bilbo Baggins.
Have we now? Oh, I'm afraid I don't recall. You'll have to forgive me. I've grown somewhat forgetful lately.
We met upon your last visit to Erebor. I guess that was near 20 years ago now. And before that, I had the honor of sharing the field with you at the Battle of Five Armies. That was my first real taste of battle. I was hardly more than a lad at the time, but it was a glorious day.
Oh, yes, the Battle of the Five Armies. A nasty business, that. Personally, I'm glad those days are behind us. But then again, it seems as if they may not be. Everything seems to be pointing to some dark times ahead. Speaking of which, I'm told that you and your friends did a great deal to help my Frodo and the Dunedain reach Rivendell safely. You'll have to tell me all about it one of these days so I can write it down properly.
The Dunedain? Who do you mean?
Why, Aragorn, of course. From the Elvish, Dunedain, man of the West. Númenorian. Around here, Aragorn is often known simply as the Dunedain. A remarkable man, Aragorn, and a good friend. I almost wish that I could accompany him on his grand quest, but I'm far too old for adventures now. I only hope I will be spared long enough to write it all down.
What is it you write?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. History, my past adventures, family trees. I've even begun a book of translations from the Elvish, although lately I've been working on poetry mostly. Say, maybe you could help me with that. I'm writing a poem for Aragorn, and I'm a bit stuck on a line or two.
Are you now? Well then, let me hear what you have.
Very well, very well. The verse that's giving me trouble runs like this. The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled.
The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled. The scion of Westernest kings.
Why, yes, yes, that's just the thing, isn't it? Oh, my friend, you should consider exchanging those weapons of yours for the poet's pen.
The enemy won't be stopped by poetry, I'm afraid.
Oh, I'm afraid you're right, but since these old hands are not much use with the sword, I'll just keep on with the pen. Though I'll need some help. Perhaps you could show this to the Lady Arwen. She has her people's gift with words, and this touches her deeply after all.
I'll take it to her,
Ah, thanks very much. Be sure to give her my compliments, won't you?
I'll be sure to do that. Farewell, Bilbo.
My Govanen, well met and welcome to the safe haven of Imladris.
My thanks. I'm much honored to meet you, Lady Arwen.
Durin's folk are welcome here. You have endured great danger and given us urgent warning of a new threat to the north. For this, we honor you, Farin.
Well, it was nothing, lady. It's nice of you fair folk to welcome a dwarf.
You show the modesty worthy of a hero. Estelle and my brothers have spoken highly of your courage at Fornost, and I thank you for your part in seeing to my brother's safe return. Please, take your ease and rest a while in our halls. You will find all your heart could desire, whether it be food, drink, song, or storytelling.
Estelle? Who might this person be?
Your pardon, good dwarf. It is my way to call Aragorn by the name he was given as he grew up in Imladris. Estelle means home.
If you pardon my saying so, you speak his name with an uncommon fondness. Do I guess right?
Long ago, I pledged myself to him beneath the golden boughs of Lothlorien, saying to him, "Dark is the shadow, and yet my heart rejoices, for you, Estelle, shall be among the great, whose valor will destroy it." Yet there is much pain in this choice, for I am Elrond's daughter, and half-elven. To cleave to Estelle, I must forsake my immortal life and become mortal, accepting the bitter with the sweet. Even should Imladris endure this war, Elrond will leave Middle-earth, and we will be parted beyond the end of the world. It is the price I must pay to bring love and hope to Estelle, to Aragorn.
He has a long list of names, to be sure. How'd he come by that one?
It is common practice to foster the children of chieftains of the Dunedain in Imladris. Aragorn was but 2 years of age when his mother, Gilrain, brought him here after his father was slain by an orc arrow, Isildur. Elrond became like a father to him. Knowing the enemy sought ever for a living heir of Isildur, he renamed the boy Estelle to keep his true name and lineage hidden. Aragorn was 20 before Elrond revealed these things to him and gave him tokens of his heritage. But he remains Estelle to me, for he is my heart's hope, even as he is the hope of the Dunedain.
I'd happily sit for a long spell in Rivendell, but Elrond set my friends and me a task to scout the Ettenmoors. We'd best be on our way soon.
Then I will not keep you, but we may be of service to one another. I am helping my father brew a potion known as Miraval. 1 sip of Miraval can renew heart and soul, and bring new vigor to weary limbs. I am in short supply of certain rare ingredients that may be found in the Ettenmoors. If I gave you a list of the ingredients, perhaps you could bring any you find while carrying out your mission. With enough ingredients, I will return the favor by brewing an extra flask that you may have for your own use.
That's a generous offer, Lady Arwen. I'll keep an eye out for what you need and bring it back once I finish scouting around.
Well met, Farin. It is good of you to visit me again. My thoughts stray often to Estelle and my brothers, but also to you and your companions. I continue to brew Miraval, but I am concerned about our dwindling stocks. We still have need of those ingredients I spoke of before.
Bilbo asked for help with a poem. I'm fond enough of the dwarvish sort of poetry, but this elvish verse is beyond me. He asked for your help, saying the subject is a matter very close to your heart.
Then it must be about Estelle. He is fond of writing verses in honor of his good friend, and therefore often comes to me for advice. You may leave it with me, Farin. I will give it some thought and answer him myself.
Thank you, that's a relief. It's not for a dwarf to be writing lines about the kings of men. And anyway, I have little time to spare for poetry. By your leave, lady, I should be going. Farewell.
Greetings! I hope the Lady Arwen will have some good suggestions for my verse. I'm really most eager to finish the thing.
Do all hobbits share your love of poetry?
Yes, I suppose so, although usually our songs and poems concern good food, good drink, and good humor. All those things we love the most. It's quite a bit different from what you find here in Rivendell.
But you were writing a poem about Aragorn. Certainly that is no drinking song.
well, one can't live long among the elves without some of their habits rubbing off, I suppose. Although I doubt I will ever match the elven appetite for music, poetry, and tales. They seem to like them as much as food, maybe even more.
Can you tell me how Frodo came to hold the Ring of Power?
Well, yes, that was through me, I'm afraid. I found the ring by happenstance while lost beneath the roots of the Misty Mountains. I won it. That is to say, I took it from the creature Gollum. Of course, I did not know the full story of the ring until only a few days ago. I thought it was merely a magical bauble with the power to make the wearer invisible. I only used it to avoid unwelcome visitors. Imagine that old ring of mine causing such a fuss. I would gladly take charge of it again if that would help. Oh, yes. Gladly. Yes. You know, I think it would be best if we discussed something else.
Well, you'll never finish that poem if I don't stop pestering you with my questions. So, farewell for now.
Farin, my lad, by my beard, it's good to see you again. When you left Erebor to stand guard on the Shire, Gimli and I feared we might be seeing the last of you. Now I hear you stood with the Rangers in the battle against the Nazgul at Sarn Ford, and bested an Orc chieftain at Fornost. Good work!
I can't take all the credit. I had Andriel, an elf of Rivendell, and the Ranger, Eredan, at my back.
Reminds me of the old days when dwarves, elves, and men fought together in the Battle of the Five Armies.
Let's not leave out the Eagles. They've been a big help to us.
Well spoken. Thorin's quest and the Battle of Five Armies would have met disaster without the help of the Eagles. You're fortunate to have gained the friendship of such noble creatures. Your life may well depend upon your choice of friends, whatever kindred they be.
And besides, it wouldn't hurt to keep Sauron a little distracted. If we keep him second-guessing his plans for the conquest of the North, it could only help Frodo in the long run.
That's my thoughts upon the matter, too. Be the stinging fly in the ointment, as it were. Only this fly's sting will be deadly. And it's time to be about your business. Goodbye, and good luck to you.
Gimli, son of Glóin! This is a happy meeting. But what brings you to Rivendell? What has passed for good or ill since I left the mountain?
Aye, and it's good to see you again, kinsman. I've heard of your exploits at Sarnford and Fornast. They sing your praises here. After you left to aid in the protection of the Shire, the foul messenger from Mordor returned yet again with more threats. King Dain thought it best to seek advice from Elrond. He chose Glóin to speak for him. When my father set out, I refused to be left behind, as happened with Thorin's quest. You were there at the Battle of the Five Armies, while I was left to cool my heels at the hearthside. Well, not this time. I go with the hobbit Frodo and his chosen 9, even if one of them must be a wood elf.
The Battle of Five Armies was long and terrible, and many valiant lives were lost. Glory's of little use to the dead.
You say it as one who has won a share of glory and lived to tell of it, and doubtless will do so again. Don't begrudge me this chance to show the worth of a dwarf against hopeless odds. But in truth, it's not for glory I take this road. It's for the sake of all who lie under the shadow of the enemy. It's Frodo who bears the true burden.
I know little of hobbits. What think you of this Frodo with such a burden to bear?
I know that he's Bilbo's adopted heir, and that such great folk as Elrond and Gandalf regard him with honor. He's already come far with the ring, and endured the knives of those Nazgul. That's good enough for me. He's hereabouts somewhere if you wish to speak with him.
We killed an orc chieftain and drove Agendaur from his stronghold. What worries you about the north?
Before we left, we heard that Mordor was stirring up the Easterlings. But should they be foolish enough to move against King Brand of Dale, they'll find King Dain of Erebor standing fast at his side. But every step of the way here, we heard rumor of new gatherings of orcs and goblins and worse things. And though the fearful count every enemy twice, there may be some truth to it. You found such enemies at Fornast. When Sauron strikes, there will be more than one land that feels his wrath. I fear for the Shire and Rivendell, but my heart would rest more easily if I knew you kept watch over them. If Faron of the Lonely Mountain defends the north, then no enemy can prevail.
You don't ask much, but my friends and I will do what we can. If you can bear the honor of the dwarves on your quest, I can do no less here. You have my word on it.
Welcome, Dwarf of the Lonely Mountain. Welcome to Imladris. Are you in need of anything to help you in your travels? I have many things in my keeping that might serve you well.
My thanks for the welcome, lady. Might I ask your name?
No, indeed. I am Alare, one of Master Elrond's stewards. I help to manage the needs of his household, including arms and armor. I suspect you might have need of such things.
What can you tell me about Elrond?
To tell you everything I know of Master Elrond would take many days. Let it suffice to say that he is an elven lord of great and noble lineage, ancient beyond mortal reckoning, and wise beyond measure. None are more skilled as a healer, or more versed in the lore of ages past.
This is such a peaceful place. It must take a fair number of warriors to keep it so.
This is a place of learning and peace, not a fortress or camp of war. But there are those here who wield great power, especially the Lord Elrond. Yet even he does not have the strength to overthrow the Dark Lord, or to resist him if he comes against us with great strength.
I intend to do all I can to see that day never comes.
Nobly spoken. I am told you have done great deeds on behalf of all free folk, and I am certain you will accomplish greater things still. But if you plan to contend with the enemy, you must be well prepared. Perhaps you should examine the stores we have on hand.
Hello. You are Farin, aren't you? I was hoping I would get a chance to speak with you.
Hi, and you must be Frodo Baggins. Aragorn and Gandalf have told me all about you, and the burden you bear.
Likewise, they have told me all about you. I wanted to thank you and your friends for all you did to keep us safe on our journey to Rivendell.
Ah, you're most welcome, lad. Just happy to have been of service. Especially after we learned how important our task really was.
It seems as if I owe everyone thanks. You, Aragorn, Elrond. Without the help of each of you, I wouldn't be here now.
We should be thanking you. It took a lot of courage to get past everything that stood between here and the Shire.
Thank you for saying so, but I don't feel brave, just very fortunate.
Will you tell me about your journey here? Sounds as if it were a rough one.
We had trouble almost from the start. The Black Riders were always just behind us, and we nearly met disaster in the Burrow Downs, at Bree, and again at Weathertop.
You came through the Burrow Downs? I won't soon forget that accursed place. You were lucky to come out alive. That's no place for hobbits to go a-wandering.
You seem to know a great deal about the Burrow Downs already. I'd prefer not to speak about what we found there. It is too horrible to dwell on, even here in the safety of Rivendell.
What happened to you in Bree? We must have just missed crossing paths there.
There were spies in Bree, and our room was attacked in the night. If Strider hadn't convinced us to sleep elsewhere, our journey would have ended then and there.
What happened at this place called Weathertop?
We were attacked by 5 of the Black Riders. I was foolish, and I put on the ring. One of them wounded me before Aragorn managed to drive them away. The knife that was used against me left a shard in the wound. From what Gandalf has told me, the fragment was working its way inward. If it had reached my heart, I would have become a wraith under the power of the Black Riders. Fortunately, we were able to reach Rivendell in time for Elrond's healing arts to save me.
You've got hidden strength in you. Like all your kind, it seems. I think you will do us all proud. Good luck to you, and all who go with you.